Right now, in the case you are still listening, do you think I have the right to change your mind? Thanks for tuning in. If you have ever experienced violence or manipulation by yourself, you might remember it as something very uncomfortable and hurtful. You might even doubt that it is justifiable that it happened to you. For anyone to try to solve problems with violence is mostly a desperate intent to influence reality. Humans like to use violence to manipulate others. They think that by exerting force and dominance, they are able to change the behavior and thinking of others. That is only wishful thinking. The moment they let go of the threat or actions of violence, it will not work anymore. So if they want to keep up the manipulation, they have to keep the threats alive, which then leads to continuous violence. And those who experience the violence might turn to violence to defend themselves. All this unnecessary behavior is based on the concept of the need and the desire, as well as the idea that we are able to change others. And maybe you think you have the right to do it because you justify your behavior based on the judgment that you know better than they do. Or a lot of times, maybe it is just out of the egoistic idea that you want to take advantage, or just decided to be the most benefited person in this relationship. First, we have to ask ourselves if we are allowed to change others' life. From where we derive the right to do so? Is it because we know what is better for them? Right now, in the case you are still listening, do you think I have the right to change your mind? Who is the one who can change your mind? I cannot change your mind. Only you yourself can change your mind. It is only possible when you allow me to inspire yourself to have a different perspective. That is the only circumstance where change could be possible for you. If there is no understanding and willingness from your side to listen and reflect, and then to take the recommendations into action, then definitely there will be no change. So ultimately, you yourself are changing yourself. No one else is able to do that. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you believe it is possible to make someone jump out of fear. I guess it is. You can use fear to set fire under the feet of others. Another of the ingredients to manipulate others is the use of energy. You could shout at them, or take some physical action to make them jump. Maybe you have to create mental anxiety, though they see no other way out than jumping. The applied effect is only possible if you make the effort to come up with that energy. The moment you let go or don't have any more energy, there will be no effect. Political parties and other dominating structures in society are spending huge amounts of money to put continuous pressure on humans to follow their instructions. The one with the most capital is the one who wins the election. Once the election is won, mostly these people hide behind laws, police, military, and judicial systems that instigates fear and submission. For example, the fear of being personally accountable, being forced to pay, or being expelled from society. That may include having you sent out of the country. Sometimes some deceiving actions are applied. There might be some fine print in the contract you have signed, something most of us have experienced already. You are used to declare that you have read everything before you sign your agreement to get access to this, whatever app you installed on your phone. I think most of us do that without hesitating. If millions sign into Facebook, why shouldn't I do the same? It can't be contrary to my rights as a human being, right? Even if you read the news that there are some evil thoughts and intentions behind these user agreements to take advantage of you, you don't mind. As an excuse, you just mention to others, I have nothing to hide. Normal people, they don't run around and shout, I will dominate the earth. But maybe when you get a job offering at a very powerful corporation, you are immediately inclined to agree when to ask you to take over the world selling a certain product in exchange for some very juicy, abundant payment in your favor. You agree to manipulate others by being manipulated through the financial offering towards you. You might already see that this is bad for society. But as long as it is good for you and your family, you don't mind. Especially very young and bright minds are prey of this kind of trap. On top of the interesting financial compensation, they offer you the idea of a promised land, a bright, successful future in the company, a very wealthy life where every wish comes true. There is a famous story about that one, where someone sells his soul to the devil. Based on the offering, you accept everything. The very expensive clothing, the haircut, a certain form of move, speak and think. It is positioned to work the best you can as it serves the desires of the company. Be physically and mentally available as needed. They do not say that out loud, but they imply that it would help others in the company to judge you and your engagement by observing your attitude and actions. They create an idol where it's a mental construction impersonated by a glorified name. You agree to recognize the company as a superior entity. They ask you to identify with this charade. They ask you to look up to your company as something so valuable that you should subordinate your little insignificant life under such beautiful power. You're not a human anymore. You are the blessed subordinate of the greatest adventure on earth. Your beautiful employer has a name and is closer to God than you are. This plan works as long as they put energy into your bank account. Or they create situations where you are absolutely dependent on their payment to get to the next month. Sometimes they employ the brightest minds fresh from the university to be the ones in charge, making the manipulation more efficient and less visible. Those superior employees got very well paid jobs where they are squeezed out of energy and time as fast as possible in exchange for financial compensation and power over others. All of this is not proof you're really human and is actually evil. There's one law in nature which is followed by those who have great wisdom. Holy people respect your free will. God loves you unconditionally. That means he does not put any condition on his love for you. We too should not, under any circumstances, try to manipulate others. Yes, we are allowed to offer our opinions, to offer our help, our inspiration. But we are not allowed to impose our rules on other human beings just because we think it is better for them. Hopefully, we live in a society that is protected by moral concepts. These help to have a cohesive ambience where everyone is respected and has a right to move and act freely. It is essential that everyone has the freedom to do so, because that is the only way we can learn from our own experiences. If you don't let your kids experience what heat means, they will not be protected when confronted with fire. It is through their own experience that they have the awareness that excessive heat can burn them. You can't follow them everywhere and just put yourself in between the kid and the source of heat. It is not practical. Some parents tried to do that, but eventually they have to give up. We are not allowed to interfere with the natural flow that enables humans to have their own experiences and learn from them. We can offer help, but we cannot afford others to accept the help. Anything you hear from me, it's up to you to understand it and put it in perspective. You have to decide yourself and reflect on what I am saying and probably recognize some kind of truth in it. That would enable you to apply this newly found knowledge to your life and your personal circumstances. I cannot do that for you. I would just like to remind you that violence and force is definitely not the way to manipulate others to do what they want. You yourself already can do whatever you want. Yes, you can do that for yourself already, anytime, as long as you do it without hurting or manipulating others. There is, by the way, the best form to teach and manipulate others. That it is. You can inspire them by being a good example. When others see you acting a certain way, they can benefit from your actions. You can show them how it's done. You can show others the way to follow your footsteps. This is the only form of manipulation you should exert on others. So let me invite you to be a kind and respectful human being. It is the best way to change humanity. You trigger the intrinsic awareness of what is good and positive in life. People recognize it in themselves when they do good. It feels good when we do good. And it feels bad if we do bad to ourselves or to others. When we do the right thing the right way, it nurtures our soul, gives us peace, and calls a better world where everyone can live in freedom and harmony. We should desire to know what is right and what is wrong, to be able to distinguish. Your own peace is the cause for peace in the world, so you better take care of that first, before you start changing others around you. Peace be with you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.